The Beemovie, the movie in which everyone in this earth can recite the entire script from heart because it's that memorable. If there was a movie so quintessential to this decade, nay, for all of time, it would have to be the Beemovie. This movie is the reason why bees exist. Before the Beemovie, there were no bees. But boop, right after the release of this movie, these beautiful, benevolent bees came to life, and it's all thanks to Jerry Seinfeld. Thank you, you mad lad. The movie begins like any other good movie does, with a quotation. It reads that according to all laws of aviation, you know what? I'm not even gonna bother reading this because we all know what it says. But if you're part of the 0.01% who hasn't seen this movie yet, it basically says given the physical characteristics of the bee, it should be impossible for them to fly, but it does. Because bees don't give a shit about what humans think. So, you're probably wondering which famous person said that, because nobody was mentioned at the end of the quote. I did some research and found out it was none other than the pinnacle of genius and attractiveness, Danny DeVito. Which just makes this movie even more amazing. There you go, I fixed that up for you bees, no need to thank me. Not even 10 seconds in and this movie is better than a lot of other movies. First thing this movie does is introduce us to the main character of the movie, the bold bee himself, B Benson. B Benson is flawless. He inspired Keanu to be the humble person he is. I could just sit here and talk about the greatness of B Benson all day, but we need to move on or else we'll be here forever. Ever wondered how a bee lives inside the beehive? Well, the Beemovie's got you covered. The movie shows us how a bee lives like, through their routine and life in the most hilarious and educational manner. Just look at this clip about what happens when a bee stings somebody.
You going to his funeral?
No, I'm not going to his funeral. Everybody knows you sting someone, you die. You don't waste it on a squirrel. He was such a hothead.
You may think, damn Barry, that's cold, but no, it's not. It's a bee sting bee world out there. Also, everything shown in this movie about the beehive is 100% accurate. Yes, bees do drive cars. Science can't even figure out how they live like, but here comes the Beemovie to show us the truth. Stupid science. We pick up with Barry graduating college, where he expresses his joy of graduating through his face. I mean, look at his face, he's just so happy. Dare I say, even a little too happy? You guys have probably seen this image before without the sound. I'm going to play the actual clip with the audio. I haven't altered it in any way. That right there is the sound of pure bliss. Since Barry just graduated, he's going to need to pick a job. And the way the economy is right now, God help him. I'm just kidding, he's at a beehive. He's gonna find a job. Barry goes on a job tour where he sees the different types of jobs the hive has to offer. Along the way, he also makes a sweet home Alabama joke.
That girl was hot.
She's my cousin.
She is?
Yes, we're all cousins.
During the tour, Barry finds out whatever job he picks will be his forever job, and this causes him to stress out. Barry meets the pollen jocks, the bees who make pollen. Do bees make pollen? Whatever they do, and he is invited to go outside the hive with them. The next day, right before Barry makes his lifelong career decision, he runs away with the pollen jocks. While outside, he sees how beautiful the world is. But it's not long after where he gets into some trouble. Barry gets separated from the group and he can't fly back to the hive because he can't fly when it's raining. He gets trapped in a house where we meet the most beloved character of this movie, Ken, and the most garbage person ever, Vanessa. Now, Ken is the best character of this movie. Every time he's on screen, he just steals the show. Everything he says or does is so insanely stupid and yet intellectual at the same time. Take this scene for example.
New resume. I made it into a fold-out brochure. You see? Folds out.
A fold-out resume? An idea like that is so dumb that it might just work. If you're still not convinced that Ken is the greatest character, just listen to his greatest accomplishment.
Oh yeah, I predicted global warming.
The dude flipping predicted global warming, and because of his prediction, the Earth is safe today. Not all heroes wear a cape. Anyways, Ken tries to kill Barry, but Vanessa saves him and a romance is born. Barry wants to thank Vanessa for saving his life, so he tries to approach her. And while trying to figure out what to say to her, Barry delivers one of the best lines in cinematic history.
You like jazz?
Now, most people don't understand the impact of this phrase. Nobody likes jazz. Jazz is garbage. But when Barry asked,
You like jazz?
Jazz music became beloved to the people. This started a phenomenon in human history. World peace was attained for a year. Jazz music was filling the streets. Everybody was happy. Stonks were going through the roof. Hunger was non-existent. The suicide rate dropped to 0. And most important of all, it gave birth to lo-fi, hip-hop, and chill beats. Barry finally musters up the courage to talk to the woman who saved his life, and the instant he does, you can feel the romance in the air. Look at this scene where Vanessa tries to compose herself when she sees the beauty of B Benson for the first time.
Ow!
She just literally tried to chop her hand off so she wouldn't look like a doofus. Barry then begins to flirt with Vanessa, and Vanessa, she just loses it.
Are you alright?
No.
Vanessa and Barry go up to the roof where they talk about their worries and stress, but more importantly, build on that romantic tension. Barry returns to the hive and tells his friend he fell in love with a human. Out of nowhere, his friend pushes him to the room and starts chanting, "Thinking bee." And then a bunch of random bees just showed up and started chanting the same thing.
Thinking bee!
Thinking bee!
Thinking bee! Thinking.
First of all, who are these bees and where the juice did they come from? Especially that one lady bee, she just shows up out of nowhere. Second of all, I'm pretty sure this is a cult. It reminds me of that Nutriboom episode from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We then go on to see the Beemovie making a statement about society. The scene starts with Barry's parents nagging him about not having a job and calling him useless. This scene just makes me ponder. It made me question society's value on people. Just because a person doesn't have a job doesn't make them useless? This question had such an impact on me that I was pondering for days without food. Just deep in thought. I don't know about you guys, but no lecture or movie has ever made me think this much about anything before. Barry goes on to escape the disrespect of his parents by diving into the honey pool. This leads to an imagination sequence where we get an inside look at the mind of Barry the bombastic bee. The scene is widely remembered, and most people say it's because of the jokes. Yes, this is one of the reasons. But I think the main reason is because we get to see the complexity of this beneficial bee. I don't know how to describe it, but this imagination sequence just screams art. We see suppressed emotions, desires, dreams, and it just makes everyone relate. Barry meets with Vanessa again, and we delve into a conversation between them where we find out that Barry is a monk. He doesn't believe in violence in any way. Just when you think Barry can't get any better, he finds a way.
So you really have to watch your temper.
Oh, yeah, very carefully. You kick a wall, take a walk, write an angry letter and throw it out. You work through it like any emotion. Anger, jealousy, lust.
Whoa there, Barry, calm your tits. Barry even gives us some insight on how to deal with emotions. I mean, this is completely unnecessary, but he does it anyway, so we can all be the best we can be. See what I did there? We have fun in this channel. Barry and Vanessa walk into a store, where Barry finds out that humans are stealing the honey that bees make, and he gets disgruntled. But not angry. Like I said before, Barry is a monk. Barry wants to know where this honey is coming from, so he asks an employee where they get it, but the employee doesn't comply. A sword fight begins where Barry almost unalives the employee, and himself. Eventually the dude spills the beans and tells Barry to follow that honey truck. We then get a sick car chase scene where Barry follows the truck. While this car chase is occurring, Barry decides to show us that he can defy the laws of physics. He catches up to the truck and lands on its windshield. On the windshield, some shenanigans occur, which causes Barry to unalive a bug, so he can save himself. I'm kinda disappointed in him, because he's supposed to be a peaceful dude. Upon further look, this bug is a cockroach, so Barry's actually doing the world a favor. Thank you, you bodacious bee. Barry arrives at the farm where we see the mistreatment of the bees by those disgusting farmers. I personally already don't like farmers because they make food for the vegans. Like, ew, a carrot? But now seeing these farmers treating bees like this, I dislike them even more. Stupid farmers, get a real job. My favorite part of the scene is how unnatural the dialogue is. I mean, just listen to this.
We make the honey, and we make the money.
Do farmers actually talk this way? Even Barry is confused.
They make the honey and we make the money?
Barry returns to the hive where he speaks about the injustice he just saw. So he does the most logical thing. He sues the human race. We cut to a scene with the greatest character of the movie, Ken. He begins talking about beating somebody in tennis. Then Vanessa says, "She's my 81-year-old grandma." Like, what's your point, Vanessa? Are you saying we shouldn't treat the elders equally? Listen to this comeback from Ken.
Was my grandmother, Ken. She's 81.
Honey, her backhand's a joke. I'm not gonna take advantage of that.
I mean, the dude is preaching that everybody should be treated equal. Just look at this woman's face. She doesn't care at all. Okay, Boomer, check your privilege. Ken and Vanessa continue talking, where Vanessa says the stupidest thing ever. This leads to the greatest facial expression ever in cinematic history.
I'm helping him sue the human race.
What?
Ken takes a phrase, "What the juice is wrong with this person?" and makes a face of it. Vanessa is the worst. She's basically the cartoon version of Toby from The Office. Barry then starts some drama with Ken and Ken gets in trouble for it. He expresses his anger through yelling.
Why is yogurt night so difficult?
My boy Ken was just trying to enjoy yogurt night, and instead of yogurt night, he got disrespect. Can I get some F's in the chat for yogurt night? I know it sounds like I'm kinda hating on Barry right now, but I'm not. But when it's Ken versus Barry, Ken is the better character. He's more relatable and he doesn't want to sue the human race. So don't even at me about that. The trial of Barry B Benson versus the human/honey industry begins. And from the first day of the trial, it is intense. First, they introduce the thickest person in this planet. From there, we get opening statements, witnesses, gasps from the jury. At some point, Barry questions why the bottle of honey is shaped like a bear. And after he questions the witnesses, he just straight up controls a bear and uses him to attack the jury. At the end of the first day, everyone's rooting for the bees because Ray Liotta tries to endgame Barry. Finally, we get to what I think is the greatest scene of the movie. I don't know why, but I don't remember the scene at all. But I'm thankful for that because now I can understand this art with a mature set of eyes. So the scene begins with Barry and Vanessa having dinner. Then all of a sudden Ken comes home. You can see from Ken's face he's had a long day. And he just wants to come home, relax, and have some dinner with his girlfriend. But lo and behold, almost all the food is done. Vanessa gets what little of the food is left, and when she's gone, that's when the drama begins. This is a brief history of the squabble between Barry and Ken. Ken's like, yo dude, you took my spot. Then Barry's like, pardon me, sire. Like you, at least I have a job. Now excuse me, I would like to use the restroom. So Ken's like, aight man, you do you. So the drama's over, right? Nope. Barry disrespects Ken by doing this.
You do that.
Now Ken is a flawed person. Not everybody can be the monk that is Barry B Benson. So he gives in to his anger and tries to unalive Barry. Ken goes to the washroom where we get the best fight scene ever. If you thought the end fight of Avengers Endgame was great, then you need to watch the B movie. So the fight happens. I would have shown you all of it, but copyright. Anyways, right before Ken wins the fight, Vanessa stops it. She then goes on to confront Ken about fighting Barry. And during this confrontation, she yet again says the stupidest thing you'll ever hear.
And he happens to be the nicest bee I've met in a long time.
Just in case you didn't hear that properly, she says, and I quote, "He happens to be the nicest bee I've met in a long time." Question for you guys. If she told you this, how would you respond? I for one would be speechless. I wouldn't know what to say. But Ken is so astonished by Vanessa's stupidity that he decides to clap back with the greatest comeback statement ever.
What are you talking about? Are there other bugs in your life?
After getting roasted, Vanessa breaks up with Ken, which I think is the only good thing that she does in this movie because Ken deserves better. The second day of the trial begins, and oh boy do we get a juicy scene filled with drama. The thickest man on earth has an evil plot in mind to win the trial. Since it looks like Barry's going to win, he plans to get Barry to sting him. He brings Barry to the stand and starts questioning him about his relationship with Vanessa, which is something I would like to know. He also started questioning if Barry's parents are actually his parents, since the queen bee gives birth to all the bees. See, this is what's so great about the Bee movie. It says what we're all thinking. Why does Barry have parents? Thick dude starts roasting Barry, calling him an illegitimate bee, and then he moves on to roast all the other bees. Like, oof, where does this guy get his disses from so quickly? It's gotta be the thickness of his brain. That was a really bad joke, I'm sorry. Anyways, this causes Simba the bee to get angry, and he stings the thickest man alive. From there, everything goes out of control. Thick man starts doing some out of this world dance moves. I mean, look at these moves. Majestic AF, am I right? After stinging the lawyer, Simba the bee faints. I don't know why he didn't die, but I guess that's what happens when Barry's your best friend. Simba the bee ends up in the hospital where Barry visits him. Barry explains that they might lose the case now because of this debacle, but thanks to some people smoking outside the hospital, Barry gets an idea on how he might win this case. His idea is to use the smoke guns, used by those dirty farmers, to addict the bees. Well, I think that's what the smoke guns are used for. I don't really know what they do. Anyways, this evidence allows Barry to win the case and gives the bees the exclusive right to all the honey. From there, we get to a short montage showing the bees getting their honey back, and Barry unaliving a bunch of people for using honey. I mean, look at this scene with this poor old lady. This old lady just chilling, enjoying what's left of her life. It seems to be a particularly good day for her because if you listen closely enough, she's humming. Who knows, she might have won the lottery or whatever. The point is, she's joyful. Now take a look at what happens when she decides to spice up her tea with some honey. You know, I felt bad for this old lady at first. Then I remembered she's breaking the law. She probably bought the honey from the black market, knowing fully well that honey is illegal now. Barry is not doing anything wrong here. He is just doing his job as a law-abiding citizen. And for that, I thank you, you brave bee. Thank you for taking care of the filth that plagues our society. After this montage, the movie goes through a genre shift, just like all cinematic masterpieces do. The B movie goes from being a comedy, drama, mystery, action, and adventure to the greatest documentary of all time. This movie could have just taken the easy route. The movie could have just ended with Barry winning and the bees getting their happily ever after. But no, it decides to make a statement about our society and our environment. Since all the honey is retrieved, the bees do not need to make any more honey, because they have more than enough. So all the bees stop doing their jobs, which includes pollinating the flowers. This leads to many bad things, but it also closes down Vanessa's flower shop. So I see this as an absolute win. Vanessa and Barry have a conversation on the roof again, where we see the bleak world they live in now. They talk about how the world is messed up, and how no more flowers will grow after they all die. The worst part of this scene is Vanessa. She just pins all the blame on Barry for how the world is now. This just angers me. Wasn't she the one who said?
I'm helping him sue the human race.
Also, she's the one who took Barry to the supermarket where he saw all the honey in the first place. So no, none of it's Barry's fault. It's all this Dingle's fault. This scene also makes me cry uncontrollably every time, because you see this big-hearted bee depressed. I'm sorry, I'll compose myself now. Throughout the movie, you get to see the type of bee Barry is. He's a jazz-tastic dude that you're always rooting for, unless Ken is there. So when you see him sad, you can't just help but cry. Just look at the scene without any music. I bet that you're crying just from his movement and facial expression. Vanessa then decides that she wants to see the last flower parade ever. There won't be another one since all the flowers are dying. So she gets up and leaves Barry there without even a goodbye. Barry doesn't stay sad for too long though. See right there? Barry is teaching people of all ages to be hopeful. Because Barry, my friends, just had an idea. Barry is going to pull a heist. Barry catches up to Vanessa in her cab and explains his idea. Barry's going to steal the pollen of the flowers from the flower festival and get this, use it to repollinate the dead flowers. Like bro. I don't want to say that idea is genius, but It is genius. Barry and Vanessa reach the flower festival, and being the master of disguise that Barry B Benson is, he is able to infiltrate the area where the flowers are being kept without anybody noticing him. Just look at this image. Can you spot the below radar B, which I mean Barry? After countless hours of looking at this photo, I couldn't find Barry at all. The only reason I was able to spot him was because the movie was kind enough to show us that he was Vanessa's pin all along. I mean, what a bamboozle! Barry and Vanessa enter the float area, where they try to steal a float, but they run into some complications with the float owner, so they decided to her. They are able to snatch the hippie car and take it to the airport, where the flowers will be transported back to Barry City. While on the plane, we found out that there is the exact amount of pollen needed to repollinate all the dead flowers, and any delay to the flight would cause the loss of flowers forever. But wouldn't you know it that halfway across the flight, the pilots announced that due to weather, the flight will be delayed. Oh no! Surely all hope is lost! Don't fret guys, Barry B Benson, master of words, will go and communicate to the pilot to explain the predicament. But when the pilots see Barry, they get scared and try to kill him. Barry starts dodging the pilot's attack like he has spidey sense or something. He eventually gets tired of these pilots and makes them knock themselves out. Guys, I have to apologize. I just realized that I said Barry has spidey sense, where I should have said he has B sense. I have made a severe lapse in judgment, and it won't happen again. Continuing on, Barry calls Vanessa to help him fly the plane. They call the flight tower and ask them to help them land. But instead of helping, the tower people start roasting the bees. This gets Barry slightly annoyed, so he gives a motivational speech that is meant for bees and not humans.
The way we work may be a mystery to you, because making honey takes a lot of bees, doing a lot of small jobs. But let me tell you something about a small job. If you do it really well, it makes a big difference.
But damn it, I can't help but get inspired every time I hear it. This speech should be used to motivate everybody, anytime, anywhere. Try waking up to the speech, and you'll wake up feeling like this guy. You know those ads that say, dermatologists hate him, find out this one trick to stop aging? Well, the trick is to listen to these words that flow like honey from this humble bee. After that motivational speech, the plane gets hit by lightning and goes out of control, but like really slowly. Vanessa starts to panic, then Barry does the best thing he does in this movie. He slaps Vanessa. Now, I don't condone violence in any way or any form, but she kinda had it coming to her. That's what you get for betraying the human race. Anyways, half of the bees go under the plane to help Barry and Vanessa land it, while the other half of the bees start doing their cult rituals. The rituals causes a flower to form at the airport. The flower helps them know where to land the plane. And needless to say, with all this teamwork from these boss bees, the plane lands safely with all the flowers still being alive. After landing the plane, Vanessa tries to kill Barry one more time. Barry goes on top of the plane and is like, yo, it's do or die time, because if we don't repollinate these flowers, we ain't gonna make any more honey. From there, a lot of things happen. Barry becomes a pollen junk because he just radiates the essence of leadership. Also, the repollination process begins. I'm not sure if it takes this amount of time to bring back the flowers from the dead after repollinating it. I feel like it's not, but what I do know is that just being around the presence of Barry B Benson can make you feel alive again. The movie ends with the world becoming bright. The bees are back to doing their jobs. Vanessa gets her flower shop back and her business is booming, which she doesn't deserve because we all hate Vanessa. Barry is a lawyer and a pollen jock, and poor Ken gets his identity stolen by Barry.
That bee is living my life!
Also, I'm pretty sure Vanessa and Barry are a thing now because he calls her Vanny.
No problem, Vanny.
Overall, this movie is indeed a masterpiece. You get characters that you love and are attached to. Not you, Vanessa. The plot is unique and never done before. It teaches people that bees are important. And you know it's a masterpiece because Barry B Benson is an icon around the world. And also there's a lot of filthy deviant art of him. I mean, look at this cursed image. You guys need help. Every day we stray further away from God. Even though this movie had its ups and downs, I believe that's what makes it a masterpiece, because it's so human. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. This is the first time I've ever made a YouTube video, and I had a lot of fun making it. So if you enjoyed it too, please consider subscribing. I don't know what else to say, so I guess drink some water. Bye.